If I only can use two adjectives to describe what I felt when reading this book, the first one would be sad and the second one would be hungry. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Recently, I have started a new job and I have been giving myself an excuse that I'm tired after work, so I haven't been reading anything lately. But I do have time to scroll on YouTube, so that's just an excuse that I give myself. And to get myself out of my reading slump, I got this book. It was actually from a while before, but it just stays on my bookshelf without being read. So now I have to read this book because I'm not doing it justice. And I actually got this book, Crying in H Mart, which I saw Jack Edwards, kind of my favorite booktuber, review a long time ago, and he said it's like a really good book. And then when I got it, I love it because it's yellow-ish and it has like the most top-notch reviews ever. Like the Times says everyone's talking about Michelle Zauner, which is the author. Yes, Sunday Times reviewed it, Mary Claire reviewed it, Guardian reviewed it, New York Times reviewed it, Vogue reviewed it, and well, Jack Edwards reviewed it. So I will be reading this. It has like a Korean background. It's like a memoir, and although I'm not Korean, but I'm sure there are some Asian elements I can refer or relate to. So I hope that this book will bring me out of my reading slump because I can relate to it a bit more. So let's dive right into it, and I will persuade myself to read at least a chapter a day. Stay updated. So I've just finished 3 chapters of this book. Hooray to me! I feel like I'm slowly getting out of the reading slump, but this book, I just have 2 words to describe it so far. First, it made me really hungry because it has all these Korean food references, and I haven't had like not even Korean food, like Asian food for a while, and I just crave it because they have like squid, like tentacles, and like they have like a beef brisket and things like that, and I really am hungry right now. Second of all, I find it really relatable, not because it's like in a Korean sense, but in more like an Asian sense, because they talk about like how the author and her mother's relationship is based on like tough love, because it talks about how white people usually go to the doctor a lot, or like white people cuddle their children a lot, but here her mother would just say like, get a grip, or like grow up and things like that, and you have to earn their love. And I feel that's so relatable because that's so similar to my parents as well. And I find it really interesting, the first chapter you talk about grief, because the author's mother died and she would be sat in the most random places, and she could talk with you with a straight face about her mother being sick, like if you ask her like in a hospital, where it might be triggering for some, but she could tell you with a straight face for that. And then the most like random actions, like in H Mart, she saw somebody looking at some food and it would cause her like to cry, and I find that so on point with grief. So far I'm loving it, and I'll keep you updated. 2 pages into chapter 4, and I just found the most relatable thing ever. It says here that the author got fired from a restaurant, and she called her mom for some sympathy, and her mom would just straight up like condemn her and like treat her sarcastically, and that is exactly what happens to my mom and dad. I just feel like this is the epitome of Asian parents raising their children. I've been slacking off from reading for the past few days, and I told myself I'll be reading till 100 page, and now I'm on 69. I have to read at least to 100 tonight. And I've got a reading companion with me. Right, Patty? Patty? I am 6 chapters into this book now, and it's starting to let us know that she's discovering her mother has cancer and how heartbroken she was, and she has just flown home to be with her mother while her mother is going through these kind of cancer therapy. And it talked about her flashbacks to when she was younger, and then when she visited home, her mom would show her love in a way that was portrayed through food, which I could resonate so much with because that's how my parents did kind of as well. But the most that I could resonate with is because my grandmother does this a lot. She cooks like our favorite food. Like she would scold us and say, "Huh, you should eat whatever I put on the table. You're not entitled to say whatever you like." But whenever she knows that we like something, she would cook it for us, and whenever we arrive at her place for dinner, it would always be there. So I can relate to this a lot. It's more comfy this way, in the comfort of my bed. I ended up playing games with my friend yesterday, and I only read till page 89, and I brought it to the office to read it during lunch break, and I read 4 pages, which I'm kind of proud of myself. And now I'm on 95, only totally not on track. I read till page 103, still a few more pages until I finish chapter 9, I think, or chapter 8. I'm just so sleepy right now. It's been a busy day at work. I'll continue tomorrow. So far, it's getting very sad. It's insane. I listened to the audiobook of this today, and I am almost done with the book. Like, I listened to it and it just goes by so much faster, but the only bad thing is I actually went through the part where her mother actually died, and when I was listening to it, I was like, holy crap, this is not happening, because Michelle's writing is so good. It actually brings you through all her emotions when like her mother is going through chemotherapy, and then like going through a lot of pain and everything, and she talks about her feelings, her relationship with her dad, her relationship with her mom, and you feel so connected to it. And then when she dropped like the bomb of her mom being dead, I was literally like dead inside. But I'm gonna continue reading this, like reading it physically, not listening to the audiobook. But if you ever want to read a book fast, audiobook is the way to go. So I was reading on my bed, and I tried to clear my mind of like distractions and everything, and guess what? I actually read like 20 pages in like 30 minutes, which has never happened before. Like, my reading speed is so slow, but now it's slightly picking it up, so good. So I actually cheated because I actually listened to the audiobook just now and didn't read the physical copy. But I am at chapter 18 now, and the book has 20 chapters, so I'm almost done with the book. So far it's going quite nicely. She's reconnecting with her other family members, not exactly reconnecting, but I think she's going through grief, and she's learning different things about herself as well. So I'll keep you updated.
Japanese Breakfast released a song called Jimmy Fallon Big.
Yes.
Can you
Just watching this video of Michelle Zauner getting interviewed by Jimmy Fallon, which is so amazing, because in her book she wrote about like making it Jimmy Fallon big, as in like being that famous, and now she is this famous to be able to go on Jimmy Fallon. Oh, I just feel so proud of her. And I didn't even know she wrote a song called Jimmy Fallon Big, and it's a big surprise. Not that big, to be honest.
One eternity later.
After 3 days since I last talked about the book, I finally finished it. I listened to the audiobook, and although it does give you faster progress if you can focus. My mind kept on drifting off somewhere else. I had to go back and re-listen, go back and re-listen, and even it's just like 2 or 3 chapters left. I spent like 2-3 days trying to finish the book, which frustrates me so much. But I did like the book. It was a good book. So a little summary about how I feel after reading this book. So in the beginning, I was kind of skeptical about the book. Although I've heard like really good things about it, I'm not sure it'll be catered to my taste, because let's say it, like everybody has different tastes. There's no like right or wrong. And I know that Jack Edwards like it, and I think the books that Jack Edwards usually recommend, I do like them, so that has like a big motivation for me to read it. And second of all, I think it's because of the author's background. It's like an Asian perspective, so I will be able to relate to it more, and therefore it might be more catered to me. So when I started reading it, I really did like the writing. Some booktubers did say that the author seems like it's just trying to write for herself instead of for other people. But then I think because that's like a memoir, so she's actually recalling from her memory. So I think it kind of makes sense that she writes it in a way that actually starts from her perspective, because she's recalling from her memory. And the way that she talks about her mother's relationship, her father's relationship, her mother's relationship with different people, and very raw emotions of like jealousy or like being selfish and things like that, which you don't really see a lot in books. She did say it out loud, and that's what I really appreciate, because most of the book seems to glorify like the nicer parts, but the uglier parts of ourselves, we tend to hide it, not because it doesn't exist, but because we don't want people to know that we have these feelings. But these feelings are real, they exist, and we're humans. Doesn't mean that we necessarily need to act on it or be like a bad person, but we're emotional beings, so it's only fitting that we sometimes feel that way. And I love that she actually talks about that. It's what made me really hungry. I really do want to try a lot of the food that she has. I haven't really had like a proper Korean meal. I have only had like some fried chicken. I don't know if they're authentic, genuine Korean food, but it did taste good. I really want to go on a trip to Korea now and try their genuine food. I did try kimchi before, but I don't really eat spicy things, so I might be missing out on a big part of the Korean culture, especially the food culture. A little warning for people who might be sensitive to losing a loved ones, or losing a loved one especially to cancer. This book talks a lot about that. It talks about Michelle going through all that, Michelle's relationship with different people, Michelle's relationship with her mother going through chemotherapy and all that. So it could be triggering for some people. It also talks about her journey of wanting to become a musician and making it Jimmy Fallon big, and she did make it Jimmy Fallon big, and I think that's a really big motivation and kind of setting a role model for a lot of Asian people living in America or living in other places, that they can make it in the music industry or the creative industry. I gave this book 4 stars, not because it's not a good enough book, but I just kind of can't explain why it doesn't feel like a 5-star to me, because I like the book, but it just didn't like wow, blow me away kind of, impact. I would definitely recommend you to read it and try some of the food, which I definitely will try if I have the chance to. Book review is coming back, because I have been telling myself that I need to read, or I'm getting like dumber and dumber. I can't even speak properly now, so stay tuned. And if you like videos like that, do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.